Hey kids, it's time for Split Pea and the Case of the Puny Heart.
Split Pea,
said Miss Peabody, shaking her head.
Sit up, eyes open. You're in school, not in bed.
Split gave a groan and tried to sit up straight, but the topic was boring and he'd stayed up too late. Psst, whispered Snap, a neighboring pea. Can I come over this weekend to play? Are you free? Who knows, grumbled Split, too annoyed for friends. It might work out. I don't know. It depends. Poor Snap sat back with a look that was sad, but Split didn't notice. His mood was still bad.
Now, children,
Miss Peabody continued to say,
one more thing to cover as we end our school day. A special assignment to wrap up the week.
She handed out papers and said not to peek. At last she was ready. She told them to look, and 10 little heads on the peas just shook. I don't get it, complained Split. This makes me so mad. Homework on weekends? My luck is so bad. Miss Peabody waited for the little peas to calm down. Then she held something up, and away went their frowns. In her hand was a jar filled with healthy fruit treats, and 9 excited peas jumped out of their seats. Wow, those looks yummy, the peas shouted, all except Split, who sat back and just pouted.
Grumph. Now remember, dear children, to keep this lesson in mind. We learned about the importance of being grateful and kind. If we fail to see the good, complaining takes hold, and the good in our lives goes unnoticed and untold. Now look on your papers. This assignment will be fun. I'll see you all Monday when your assignment must be done.
Up jumped the peas, and they rolled out the door, off for a weekend of fun and some chores. Split moved for the door as he walked out alone. He looked at the assignment and let out a moan. It said, spend a whole day saying thank you to all who you serve in any way, big or just small. By giving your attention to gratitude, you'll see a world filled with giving, and thankful you'll be. Then, write down one new thing you're now thankful for that you learned from this lesson and you didn't know before. Bring your paper back Monday, it continued to say, and a treat will be waiting to brighten your day. Split gave a sigh as he folded the paper. He put it in his pocket. He'd work on it later. As he walked out of class, who did he see? The most generous pea in the class, named Sweet Pea. She was always most helpful and looking for a way to assist other peas in their lives day to day. Her latest attempt to give help and do good was collecting donations for poor neighborhoods.
Oh, Split,
she said, smiling and eager to ask,
would you please contribute and help out with our task?
No way, said Split, indifferent to her plea. At times he could be such a selfish green pea. Whatever you're working on, you can just count me out. She clearly wanted money. Of that, he had no doubt.
Okay,
replied Sweet Pea as her pink smile fell. She told him goodbye and, of course, wished him well. Split huffed off quickly, glad to be free, but his heart hurt a little. Just a little? Maybe? Then Split stopped thinking about anyone else and focused on what he liked most, himself. Split rolled on home, leaving his worries behind, and Miss Peabody's assignment drifted out of his mind. That night, as the moon rose, Split slept in his bed, but strange dreams floated across his green head. He dreamt that he lived in a poor neighborhood, like the one in where Sweet Pea was trying to do good. He was left all alone, but no one gave a care. There was no one to help, no peas that would share. He awoke with a start, still shaking with fear. Should he open his eyes? This was scary, oh dear! Then a thought drifted in as his foggy mind darted. Miss Peabody's assignment! It was time to get started! Okay, he thought, let's get this thing going. A day of being thankful, he heard himself groaning. As he opened his eyes, the sun was shining bright, and he thought to himself, am I thankful for light? Then he smelled breakfast cooking. He ran down to see. Hot, yummy pancakes, Mom made just for me. Maybe this was something to be thankful for. He hadn't really even considered it before. Thank you, Mother, he was happy to say, for such a nice start to this beautiful day. His mother smiled and gave him a kiss, and for a split second, his heart had a feeling of bliss. Split, said Dad. When you finish your last chore, would you like to come with me to the hardware store? Sure, Dad, and thank you, he added on later. Having a dad to spend time with, he now appreciated greater. When Split finished his chores, his allowance was waiting. Now, what to buy himself in his mind he kept debating. He stashed all the money in his pocket deep down. It was time to find Dad and go into town. Over at the hardware store, they met Mr. Green, who showed young Split how to tune up a machine. Thank you, Mr. Green, Split said when he was done. Saying thank you was getting easier and starting to feel fun. When he and Dad got back to the house, Split's best friend Snap, he showed up with a mouse. Hey, Split, called Snap, come see my new pet. He's a cute little gray mouse I got from the vet. Can I hold him? Asked Split, clearly impressed. Of course you can, best buddy. Please, be my guest. And as Split said thank you, it came to his mind, having a best friend was a wonderful find. And so went the day, and as the hours danced by, Split came to realize he was a fortunate guy. By giving this gratitude an opening space, the world had transformed into an abundant place. There were all kinds of little things to be thankful for. He hadn't really noticed these details before. The things to complain about had now been replaced, and things to be thankful for took up their space. At the end of the day, Split's heart had been filled. He had to admit he felt somewhat thrilled. And when Mother came in to tuck him into bed, she recited the words Ralph Waldo Emerson said.
For help and food, for love and friends, for everything the goodness sends, Father in heaven, we thank thee.
That night, Split slept soundly as the night quickly passed, and the rest of their weekend rushed by much too fast. On Monday morning, Split awoke with a gasp. Oh, Miss Peabody's assignment, he hadn't completed his task. He arrived at school as the clock struck 8. He hurried into class before he was late. Miss Peabody began the class the moment Split was seated.
Good morning, dear children,
she cheerfully greeted.
Turn in your papers, then pick out a treat.
Poor Split felt so worried, his heart skipped a beat. On Split's paper was nothing but blanks. What was the new thing for which he now gave thanks? Oh no! Oh no! There were so many things Split had come to realize, many of which had taken him by surprise. Then all of a sudden, he felt in his heart a tiny little flutter, and he knew with a start that one very special thing he was now thankful for, that thing he had never quite realized before. He was thankful Miss Peabody had taught him to see how loving and wonderful his own life could be. He jotted it down, and handed it in. Miss Peabody looked at the paper with a knowing grin. And as Split walked down the aisle back to his seat, he saw little Sweet Pea, her desk clean and neat. Then he thought of his lonely, empty neighborhood dream. He remembered how scary and hopeless things seem. He reached in his pocket and he took out his money. And all of a sudden, he felt kind of funny. It would be great spending money on himself, that was true. But helping others would feel even better, he knew. So he handed it over for the neighborhood donation, and Sweet Pea and Snap gave him a standing ovation. Thank you, Split, they chanted. Now it was Split's turn to stand up and feel tall for serving the other peas in a big way or just small. And in that moment, Split's little green heart got a little bit riper for doing his part.
Hearts like doors will open with ease to very, very little keys. And don't forget that 2 are these. I thank you, sir, and if you please.